give special thanks to Vera and Anna for all of the great work they've done recruiting all of you to CU, and then the work that they will do during your time at CU. And so, as Vera said, I'm the graduate chair in the department. My name is Peter Hamilton. I'm also an associate professor and do research on fluid dynamics, CFD. I teach classes related to fluid dynamics, and I also teach the mathematical methods of engineering analysis class that some of you may take. And so, first thing is to welcome you to the mechanical engineering department. We're exceedingly pleased to have you here and look forward to working with you more over the next several years. You know, what we want to do is give you, the best possible education that we can, but then also set you up to go out and have successful careers. In some cases, you'll choose to continue with the PhD program, but no matter what, you'll all become ambassadors of our department, and everything that you do in the future will reflect back on us, and everything that you do will reflect on each other as well. And so we really look forward to being, part of your growth as engineers and scientists, and really are so excited to have you in the department. And by the way, those of you who have not yet been to Boulder or who will be coming for the first time, this is a great picture showing the place that you'll be coming to, the mountains that we have, and just beyond even the university and the department. Boulder is a fantastic place to live, to be a student, and I think you'll find we have a very vibrant community. So, I look forward to talking with you all more. I will only be on this call for a few more minutes, but Vera and Anna will be able to answer most of the questions, if not all of the questions you have. If there is anything remaining, I'm always available by email and happy to chat. And so with that, I will turn it over to Anna. And Anna is definitely someone that you should get to know well and that you will be seeing a lot of over the years. She'll be your primary academic advisor and knows a lot about the department and what it takes to be successful within it. And so Anna, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Peter. My name's Anna Guy. I am the academic advisor for the MS and the PhD program in mechanical engineering. Welcome to ME. We all want to welcome you today. So today's agenda, we obviously had our welcome just now with Vera and Peter. What we'll do next is just an information session with me. Then at 9 o'clock, we'll do a Q&A session, or if you need, because we know Zoom fatigue is real, if you need to take a break at that time, you're certainly welcome to step away from the computer for a few minutes. And then at 9:15 to 10 a.m., we'll have a student panel with a couple of current MS students so that you can ask them your questions and get a student perspective of the program. So now we'll just jump right into my presentation. The first thing I wanted to do was just give you an idea, an overview of the people that lead our department, as well as the resources you have available to you. So our graduate program leadership currently, we have Dr. Michael Hannigan, who's our ME department chair, and then Dr. Peter Hamilton, who's our graduate program chair, and they're both super helpful. So definitely feel free to reach out to them. They're both very nice as well and pleasant. So definitely feel free to chat with them if you ever have a chance. And then again, we have definitely resources and staff available to students to make sure that they can get their questions answered and that they have the support they need to get through the program. So if you ever have questions about a paycheck, if you're working for the department, if you ever need to reserve a room, if you need to get reimbursed for travel expenses, if you travel to a conference perhaps, we're here to help. So for the graduate program, there is myself, Anna Guy. I'm the graduate advisor for current students. So I'll be working with you pretty much from now until you graduate. And then there's Vera, who is our senior graduate advisor, and she works with prospective students. So you'll still have access to her. She's not leaving you in the dust, but she will primarily focus on our prospective students and some administrative work. So definitely feel free to reach out to her if you have questions, but I'll be your primary point of contact to start. Then if you ever have questions about the building, because the engineering center is huge, Definitely feel free to reach out to Andrew Garcia. He's our facilities management coordinator. He's super helpful. If nothing else, he always has a map of the building, so definitely feel free to utilize him. We have a great finance team. Right now, Emily Flanagan is our current finance manager. She is actually moving on to a college level position and will be hiring a new finance manager. But if you have any questions, Emily, Andrea, Yumi, Jen, Annika, any of them can answer questions for you. If you ever have an expense report you need to fill out, they're definitely super helpful in that regard as well. Then we do have a pretty big undergraduate advising team. You probably won't work with them too much just because they do focus on the undergraduate student population, but they're all very nice people. So I wanted you to see their faces and get to know who they are. Kate, Jerry, Justin, and Debbie are our undergraduate advising team. And if you ever had questions about an undergraduate class, these are the people I would probably ask that question to. So I definitely can help you reach out to them if needed. Then we do have human resources and a front desk area in the mechanical engineering department. Cassie and Noor are our HR professionals, and they are super helpful if you ever have questions again about a paycheck, the hiring process, things of that nature. They can definitely help us with that. Then Elizabeth Deacon is our student services and scheduling coordinator. She also oversees the front desk area. So she can help you get in touch with the front desk population, or excuse me, student workers who can help you reserve a room or do things like that. She also is able to answer questions about the scheduling process for each semester. She's the one that kind of handles the logistics for us, which is great. Then we also have communications and professional development. Rachel Luthhauser is our content and communications specialist. So she's always looking for cool stories. If you're doing cool things in any of your classes or as part of a club, she would be a great person to reach out to, and we can help you get in touch with her so that your cool work is getting the attention it deserves. And then Catherine McConnell is our senior professional development advisor, and Kat's really helpful if you have questions about a resume or trying to put together networking events. She's super helpful in that regard as well. And then finally, we have our staff at the Idea Forge, which is our kind of collaborative space for the mechanical engineering department. Shirley Chessman is a mechanical lab engineer at the Idea Forge, and then Lauren Wheeler is our finance and project manager. So if you ever get over to the Idea Forge and have questions, they would be kind of your two main points of contact to get started. Then in addition to our staff, we do have a graduate committee that oversees the graduate program. So essentially they administer the graduate program, they review our program and policies, they review any petitions that we need to review, as well as exceptions to policy. They make funding decisions, and they also do admissions. So all of our graduate committee actually reviewed your applications and continue to do so for the fall semester as well. So they're definitely the faculty that are helpful. Well, all the faculty are helpful, but these are the faculty that are most helpful to us because they help us with the items that are listed on this slide. In addition to our department resources, there are a lot of university resources that are available to you, and they will be beneficial to you over the course of every semester, actually. So we'll dive into some of those right now as well. The first is the bursar's office. They are probably not anyone's favorite office because they take your money, but they help with billing and payments. They also have information about costs, including the tuition rates and student fees. So definitely check out their website because it will be important to know how much you're going to pay, especially for those student fees, because they can get cumbersome. I'm in graduate school as well, and I hate paying my student fees every semester because it's a lot, but you get a lot of cool things out of it. You get to use the rec center, you get to use the university libraries, like it goes towards good things. It's just never fun to pay anyone. So the other big thing that they'll do, which will impact you all next year, is that they provide the 1098-T, which is the tax form you'll need in order to complete your taxes. So definitely feel free to reach out to the bursar's office if you have any questions about billing or payments. Then there's the registrar's office. I use their website all the time personally, both as a staff member and a student. It has everything from academic calendars, registration information. You can get an enrollment verification if you might need that for insurance or other purposes. You can verify your residency status. And then you can also download your official or unofficial transcripts from the registrar's office website. So definitely a good website to also get familiarized with early in the process. Next is career services. And as an ME student, there's actually a lot of opportunity to use career services. There's actually 3 different levels within the university that you can use. We have an in-house professional development opportunities that are offered throughout the academic year. Those are the things that we work with Kat McConnell on. So definitely keep an eye out for those. There's also a college level a college level career services that focuses specifically on engineering opportunities. So definitely feel free to use them. And then I've actually really heard some good things about the university level career services for graduate students as well. In addition to just graduate student services for career services, there's also an international student career services professional. So lots of opportunities depending on what your status is, what you might be looking for. I know students are interested in internships and different things. So they can really help you through that process and make sure that you have the resources you need in order to be successful in your job search, excuse me. We also have access to Handshake, which some of you may have used at your undergraduate institutions. And essentially it's an employment website for CU Boulder students to connect with employers. So I think it's really cool. They have not only job opportunities, but they also host like different professional development opportunities through Handshake. So that's definitely something that will be really helpful to utilize as you're going through the MS program. For those of you that are international students, there's also an office that's dedicated directly to you. It's the International Student and Scholar Services Office. We also call them ISSS for short, because that's a mouthful. So they will be the people that you need to speak with regarding tax obligations, any visa questions that you have, if you have additional graduation requirements. And then just international student resources. They host different events for international students. They're actually doing an international coffee hour this Friday, which is really cool. And that's something that both international and domestic students can go to. So they do host some pretty cool and exciting events throughout the year as well. I always defer to ISSS if there's questions about like F1 status. Also, if you're interested in doing curricular practical training, CPT, or optional practical training after you graduate, OPT, they'll be the ones that we work with to complete like all of the necessary forms and things that we need in order to get you the clearance to work outside of the university. Then there's also the graduate school, which they actually oversee the graduate program. They're kind of the people that we answer to. But they have a whole website that's really helpful. You may have already started perusing it on the admitted students website, but there will be lots of forms that you need to fill out throughout the time that you're in the program. So that's where we'll get those forms from. They also have all the rules and policies that we have to follow. They set all the graduation deadlines, which are really important. If you're in the thesis track, you'll do the thesis and dissertation submission requirements. And they also have quite a bit of information about your registration status, because as a graduate student, it can be a little bit confusing about what status you're in based on your registration. That's something I'm always happy to help students figure out depending on their status. So definitely feel free to reach out to me and we can look at the graduate school website together to figure that out. Then in regard to finances and funding, we do have different funds available to students throughout the year. First, there is the Student of the Month Award. That's something that we provide to students on a monthly basis. And it's just for outstanding work and doing good things. So definitely just do what you're going to do, and hopefully you'll get nominated at some point for that award. Then we also do offer travel grants to students. There's, again, different levels of travel grants. We have one at the department level. Then there's one through the graduate and professional student government. There's one through the graduate school, and then there's a dean's travel grant, which is actually through the College of Engineering and Applied Science. So if you are planning to travel to a conference at some point, definitely feel free to apply for and utilize those funds, because we know that conferences can get expensive, but they're really good educational opportunities. So we definitely want you to be able to attend those opportunities when you have them. In regard to health and mental health, there are a ton of resources on campus. The two big ones are the Wardenburg Health Center, which is our student health center on campus. They have just a full range of health and wellness services. I've had students go there just for like an annual checkup. I've had students do physical therapy through there. They also are offering all of the vaccinations. So like COVID vaccinations or flu shots are available through the Wardenburg Health Center, which is awesome. They also have a pharmacy on campus, which is great for students so that you don't have to go too far to get any medications you may need. Then on the mental health side, there is counseling and psychiatric services, or CAPS. And this is an on-campus mental health and psychiatric service that we offer to students. It's included as part of your student fees. But they'll address a variety of concerns, anything from anxiety, depression, even things just like if you're having trouble academically and you're feeling like it's a mental health issue, they'll address that with you. If you're having issues with body image, relationships, substance use, anything like that, like they're just a really great service to reach out to. Once you've done your intake, there is actually someone that is both in the embedded at the graduate school, and then someone that's embedded at the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So they are trying to be thoughtful about the types of students they're working with. So definitely feel free to reach out to them if you ever feel like you need some additional support in that regard. Just in regard to expectations for the program, timelines, typically we request that you allow 24 to 72 hour responses for any email or phone call. That pretty much applies directly to me. I'm working with like 350 students by the time you all come in, so it just takes me a little bit of time to respond. I'm not trying to ignore you. I just want to make sure that I'm giving everyone the information they need, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to respond. But in addition to that, I do offer advising appointments. So if you need something immediately, we always can set up an advising appointment. I usually have at least 4 hours of availability per week. I think right now I actually have 5 pretty regularly, and I have a bookings website, so it goes directly to my calendar, which is super great. If the availability I have does not work for you, I can always try to work in an appointment for a student if you have conflicts, or if all slots are full and you have something that's pretty timely that needs to be answered. So certainly feel free to reach out to me if you're not able to get something on the bookings website right away. And then the other big thing is that we do have a listserv for graduate students. If you haven't been added to this yet, you will be added to it shortly. Please be sure to read these emails. We send them because it's important information, not just because we want to send you random emails. But it includes things like funding opportunities, graduation requirements, deadlines, events, course offerings. At some point, we let students know if there's free food in the building because we know you like to eat. So definitely keep an eye out for those emails. You would get at least one email from that listserv each week, because I do send out a weekly events email just to let you know about what's going on in the department as well as what's going on around campus. So definitely take advantage of those opportunities as they become available. Then just in regard to privacy, essentially, we treat each student with interaction with respect, and we expect other students to respect those interactions as well. Essentially, we want to make sure that if we're having a conversation with a student, that that's a private conversation and that other students aren't listening potentially. So even if a door is open, please wait in the hallway. Please wait down the hall until we have finished with that student in order to respect that student's privacy. The same thing with Zoom. Sometimes, like, we always set up waiting rooms, but sometimes someone slips through for some reason because technology is technology. It doesn't always work. So yeah, if for some reason you were to drop into a conversation, we would probably ask you to leave for a few minutes and then come back. And it's really just that not all conversations are meant to be shared. So we do want to respect you. We want to respect other students, and that's really what it comes down to. The other thing that we like to remind students is that faculty for the department, as well as Vera and I, are mandatory reporters. So if you do have something that you come to us with, for example, like you feel like you've been harassed by an instructor, or you feel like you've been harassed by another student, things of that nature, which do get very sensitive, but we do have to report that to the university as part of our job. So just be aware of that as well. It's not to scare you away from coming to talk to us. We want to know about those opportunities, or not about those opportunities, about those incidents. But we do have to report those. So it can become that much more sensitive, and we would let you know if we are going to report it. For record keeping, we strongly recommend you keep personal records of all official documentation. So if you have any exams that you take, keep a record of your grades. Make sure when you are graduating, you keep a copy of your candidacy application. If you submit any petitions, we want you to keep a copy of those signed documents. And then obviously your thesis and/or dissertation you would work really hard on. So we would want you to keep a copy of that as well. So just make sure to keep personal records of that documentation. We do keep it as well, but again, sometimes things slip through the cracks. So it's helpful if the students have that on record as well. Then finally, we do have a graduate program handbook, which has a ton of information about the department and the program. It's updated each academic year, and you can find it at the link on the slide. Essentially, there is a forms and handbooks link, and it's the first link on that page. And then also it, in addition to just having a ton of information about the department, it does have a ton of information about policies, guidelines, resources, really just things to help you throughout the program. So definitely take a look at that, refer to it throughout the time you're here. Again, we update it regularly, so we want to make sure that students always have the up-to-date copy. Then just for community, we do have a lot of opportunities for students to get involved in the program and the larger graduate community. So we want to make sure that if you're interested, you're taking advantage of those opportunities. The first is an internal committee. It's called the Community Building Committee. I'm kind of revamping that, and it's been a longer process than I've anticipated. But previous events we've held included cooking and coffee hours. We've had student faculty barbecues during the spring and fall semesters. We've had to put a pause on a few events just because of COVID. Unfortunately, it's kind of weird to have food and be unmasked and those kind of things. So that's where we're kind of revamping. But if you have ideas for social events and want to help execute those social events, please let me know, and I would be happy to have you join that committee. The other internal committee that we have for students is the Committee for Equity in Mechanical Engineering, or CEME. And this is essentially a committee that was student driven. The students thought of it, the students wanted to participate in it. And they're really focusing on bringing in speakers and having presentations to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's really awesome. Like, I'm really proud of our students that they want to do things like this. And I'm really excited to see where this committee continues to go. They're still relatively new. They've been in existence for about a year, a little over a year, probably closer to a year and a half at this point, and are definitely doing some great things. So we're excited to see what they do next. The other things we have opportunities for students are to help with recruitment events like Gears or MS Visit Day, which will take place in the spring. And we're seeking ambassadors from the program who would be willing to speak with prospective students throughout the year. So if you're interested in being an ambassador potentially once you get settled into the program, we'd want you to contact Vera. And she would work with you to figure out like what that ambassador program is going to look like, what students you would need to speak with, and all of the details that go along with that. In addition to our internal department opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities at the college and university level. There is the Graduate Student Advisory Board, or GSAB, the graduate and professional student government events, graduate student groups, volunteer, and there is the Volunteer Resource Center. So if you're looking to do volunteer work, they would be a great place to get acclimated to Boulder and find opportunities here in the area. So now that we've gone through all of that, I'm sure these are the questions you actually have about curriculum. So for the MS professional program, you're required to take 30 graduate level course credits. There is one required course, and that will be offered this spring. You don't have to take it this spring. It could be taken in spring 2023 as well. But that course is called Industry Skills, and it's a 3-credit course. Vera will actually be helping teach the course, which is really exciting. So definitely plan to take that one at some point during your MS career. You would need to take up to, or you may take up to 12 non-mechanical engineering credits or 4 courses. So those courses, as long as they're graduate level classes, you can take them from another engineering department. You can take them from another department outside of the engineering college, such as physics. You could go as far if you wanted to take like a history class, you could do that. I know you're engineers, so I don't know that that would be super beneficial to you professionally, but it would definitely be an option. In addition, if you've taken graduate level coursework, but you have not finished your graduate degree, you may be able to transfer up to 9 credits into the MS program. If you took graduate courses as an undergraduate, those cannot be used. And any transfer credits that you receive would be considered non-ME courses. So that would count against that 12 credits that you can take outside of the department. And that's very specific to each student. So if you have questions about that, please email me or come to see me and we can talk about that in more detail. For the MS professional curriculum, there are different focus or track options. The first is design. This is the only track that does have required core courses, but those courses include design for manufacturability, advanced product design, and then graduate design 1 and 2. If you are planning to take graduate design 1 in the fall of 2022, it is, well, it's required that you take advanced product design this spring semester. There is a form that you should fill out. If you haven't received the link to that form, please email me and let me know that so that I can get that form to you, because we will be making decisions about who's enrolling in that course later this week. Other options you have is include the modeling, simulation, and analysis track, the biomedical track, clean technology, and then there is the flex option. The flex option is the most flexible because you essentially build your own graduate degree, which is really nice. So definitely let me know if you have any questions about your focus or track. You don't have to stay in the track you were admitted to. If you wanted to switch tracks, that's definitely an option. Just let me know and we can talk in more detail about that as well. If you are interested in doing the thesis, we'll work with Vera to do a couple things. The first is there is an MS thesis interest form that you would need to fill out, or that you should fill out to get started. Then we would try to match you with a professor who would oversee your research. You can't be moved into the MS thesis track until you have a confirmed advisor. And then from there, what we would do is we'd switch your program and you would then be in the thesis track. The thesis track does have a few required courses. It does require 30 graduate level course credits as well. The required courses for this track include methods of engineering analysis and then intro to research. And this slide is actually incorrect. I'm sorry, I didn't catch this. Intro to research is now a 3-credit course for a letter grade. So it will count as one of your 30 graduate level course credits. And then in addition to intro to research, you would take 6 thesis credits. You still can take up to 12 non-mechanical engineering credits or 4 courses. And you also may transfer up to 9 credits into this program. The same things would apply. You can't take, or excuse me, if you took courses as an undergraduate, you wouldn't be able to use those towards your graduate degree, and all of your transfer courses would be considered those non-ME courses. In this regard, there are different focus and track options. Again, there's the design option, which has the same core required. And again, we'd recommend that you take advanced product design this spring if you're planning to take graduate design 1 in the fall semester. But the other track options include air quality, biomedical, energy and environment, materials, mechanics of materials, microsystems, and robotics and controls. So definitely, if you're filling out the MS thesis interest form, consider which of those options you'd like to use. I believe you have to identify some faculty that you want to work with. So make sure that that matches which focus area that you're interested in. And then we will let you know what to do to move forward. So again, switching to the MS thesis, you must find a faculty advisor that agrees to serve as your thesis advisor before we will switch you into the program. Once that's done, you would need to notify Vera and me to process the paperwork to formalize the switch. A couple items of note is that you can only switch between terms. So essentially, like if you were to find an advisor, let's say in October, we wouldn't be able to switch you until the start of the spring semester. In this case, like let's say you find an advisor in March of the spring semester, we wouldn't be able to switch you until the summer or fall semester, depending on when you're taking your next classes. The College of Engineering only permits one switch. So if you switch into the MS thesis program, you have to stay in the MS thesis program. So that's something to consider as well. And then funding can be difficult. Start the conversation with your research interest in lab fit. The funding should be secondary. If you're interested in the thesis, it should be more about your research interest and doing the work in that lab. And then we would want you to take Intro to Research at the earliest offering, which will be in the fall of 2022. So we want you to take that in the fall semester if you're considering a thesis. So then policies, all of the students in the MS professional and the MS thesis program must follow the graduate school rules and the departmental rules. So we'll go over some of those policies right now. The big ones to know about is that you must maintain a 3.0 cumulative GPA to remain in good standing with the graduate school. You must receive at least a grade of C in all courses for them to count towards the graduate curriculum. If you get a C- or lower, those courses do not count toward the graduate curriculum. To maintain full-time status, you would need to enroll in at least 5 graduate credit hours or 1 thesis credit. Part-time considerations, if you are planning to take a part-time schedule, you must be registered part-time for 4 semesters to be eligible for graduation, 2 of which must be taken consecutively in the same academic year. So if you have questions about being part-time, definitely let me know, and we can talk about how that might affect your graduation. One caveat to all of these rules is that financial aid rules may be different, so please consult with financial aid if you have questions about any student loans you may be taking out, or if you have student loans and are planning to defer those, please contact your lending organization because they'll be the ones to tell you how many credits you need to register in order to defer those loans. For the mechanical engineering department, again, we're going to harp on the graduate student handbook because it is a really great resource. I always recommend consulting the handbook as a first resource. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And then our other big rule is that you must follow all of the graduate school rules. So just be sure to, stay in good standing, stay in full-time status, and we should be golden. Residency. I know students have questions about residency because it affects your tuition. Students in the MS program may establish Colorado residency after their first year in the program. You do have to be a Colorado resident for a full year before you can establish residency. So establishing residency means that you're making Colorado your true, fixed, and permanent home, that you're securing permanent housing in Colorado, you're obtaining a Colorado driver's license or state issued ID, you're registering to vote in Colorado, you've registered your vehicles in Colorado, you're filing and paying Colorado income taxes. These decisions about residency are actually made by the registrar's office, not by the department. So we would need you to consult the registrar's website for more information about establishing residency or determining what you need to do in order to establish that. International students may not be able to establish Colorado residency. In this case, I would contact ISSS with any questions related to your visa requirements or residency, because they'll be able to guide you through that process and let you know if that's a possibility. For funding, in general, funding is extremely competitive for MS students. We do offer scholarships at different points throughout the year, so we'd encourage you to apply for those. Those include the diversity scholarship and the entrepreneurial scholarship. We typically have applications each fall and spring semester, so we would let you know about when to apply for those. We typically send out the announcement through the MSN grads email, so another reason to keep an eye on that listserv. Then another option potentially would be an assistantship. This is only available to MS thesis students. MS professional students are not eligible for assistantships. So these would include a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship. Typically, these include a living stipend, tuition remission, health insurance support, but it is something that less than 5% of MS students receive. So I would say don't plan on receiving one of these, especially in your first semester, because a lot of times they don't materialize, just to be frank. Other funding options include, we do have grader positions. So this would be an hourly opportunity to provide course support to undergraduate or graduate courses. Typically, these start at about $16 per hour, and you would be hired for about 10 to 15 hours per week, depending on the course. There is an application you would need to fill out each semester. We haven't finished the hiring process for the spring semester yet. So if you're interested in this, Vera and I will be coordinating that process. So definitely feel free to reach out to us if you are interested in being a grader. The other option would be outside employment. So there's a student employment website for other departments. There are student employment opportunities through the mechanical engineering department. And then there is any opportunities we hear about for like off-campus employment will also advertise through the MSN grad listserv. So then career considerations. We know you're in the master's degree program because you want to get a better career. You want to further your career. So we recommend starting early. Look for internships and jobs as soon as possible. This says in the fall. You're coming in the spring, so I would get a running start and start now. Again, there's engineering career services, there's Handshake to use. So those are great resources to get started. And then international students, I would reach out to the ISSS office about CPT and OPT. My understanding with CPT is that you aren't able to use that opportunity until you have completed a full academic year, which includes a spring and a fall semester. So you likely wouldn't be able to do anything on CPT until spring 2023 at the earliest. So that's everything I have. We finished actually a little bit earlier than I thought we would. So next we'll have the student panel, but before we do that, we did want to take any questions you may have. I see there's a couple of questions in the chat.